Y'all, this is gonna be fun today. Let's dive right in.
You'll do things you never dreamed you could do.
And welcome everybody. Really excited to take you through this tutorial today. I've myself had a lot of fun going through this one, and I think you're really going to enjoy the surprise I have for you at the end, so make sure you stay tuned. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you're going to want to find a song. Absolutely, that's probably something that's going to be pretty important. Now, for me personally, I do love SoundCloud. I have a profile myself, but as you can see, I actually have a preview for you if you'd like to see the actual song today. It is out on SoundCloud. As a quick reminder, whenever you use audio from someone else, you cannot monetize it. This is purely for the fun of trying out things from a music production perspective. So please make sure that if you ever do use something and try to monetize it, get the permission of the artist. This has worked out in many really cool ways. For example, Daft Punk, One More Time, shoot, that's just like 3 samples mushed together from an old band song from back in the day. So you never really know where you might find some inspiration. So for myself, as I was going through, I found this awesome version of Pink Pony Club that I was really into. And you wouldn't have guessed who the singer was. Plankton. My goodness. At first you might think, hey, this has got to be a joke, right? Like, SpongeBob, really? My goodness, it goes. Let's talk about this. So when you have the audio that you want to take, sometimes artists can be really cool. They will actually share that information with you either through a WAV file or an MP3. This can usually be found around here. And it's a really awesome way to get the optimal quality audio from which it should be sounding like. On the other hand, if you're just trying to have some fun and you're not really that super concerned about how the audio sounds, you just want to try something out, then I recommend something called SoundCloud Downloader. Wow, who would have thought? Easy name. All you have to do is just put in the URL of the SoundCloud song that you want to take, put it in here, press paste, and download it. Shoot, it really is that easy. Now, once you get all that information, you have the audio that you want. The next step is probably the area where people start to get, or at least I did, a little fumbled up. So for myself personally, I like to use FL Studio. I had actually worked on this prior to get it, because my goodness, y'all did not want to see my thinking process. It is like trying to take a brick wall down with a pool noodle. I just go after it and see what works. Either way. Okay, so this is the WAV file that we took. All right, so when you take a WAV file, it is quite literally in a bit of a raw form, right? By looking at it, you don't know the tempo, you don't know the key, and you don't know when certain instruments are coming in, when, like, what aspects of them, when they're being played. Unless you have a musical background, which, you know, good for you, that's fantastic. I myself did not grow up with that. I grew up around it, but not with it. So I had to take a more technical perspective. In order to find the tempo in particular, there's a couple of different things that you can do. One, you can go into this little icon right over here, and you can click Fit to Tempo. Now, what this will do is it'll try to give the best estimate it can on what it thinks that the tempo of the audio is. Now, 9 times out of the 10, it does it correctly, and it's super helpful, and it works really well. However, with stuff like this, when you're working with, let's say, not the premium quality of what you normally would get, you have to do something a little bit different. For this instance in particular, what I did is I used a metronome, a good 30 seconds to see how many beats that there were. This one in particular, though, 106.049 tempo. Yeah. Fortunately, once you have identified that tempo and you match it to your DAW, you can then change the tempo however you like just by restretching it, being able to go in, change exactly what you wanted to do. In my case, I wanted to make it 110 beats per minute. I didn't want to change how the song was being sung per se, but still keep it with a good vibe. All right, so another aspect here is to just look up the song. Typically, the tempo is listed, the key is listed, and the chords you can find. So you can match what's going on here to what you might need. Now, here's a bit of a challenge as well. You'll notice here that the song doesn't exactly begin right when the first thing happens. There's a little bit of chop here. We'll get to that in a bit, but I want to make sure that you're mindful of what that looks like. Now that we have the song that we like, now we're going to use a really cool feature. We are going to separate the stems from the sample. That's right, AI. Pretty cool, right? We're going to take away the drums, instruments, bass, and vocals, separate them, and then that way we can get the aspects of the song that we want to keep and get rid of the ones that we don't. When I first did it, oh boy, don't do what I did. I came in and I was literally slicing and dicing and matching, and my goodness did it take me forever, and it was such a long process. It sounded good in the end, but take the shortcut, please. You don't want to be that person. Now we have from 5 different samples. This was the original sample that we had. These are the broken down samples. Nice part, thank you FL Studio. Broke down the drums, the bass, the instruments, and the vocals. Now, for me personally, well, I kind of like the slow, fluffy way that it was originally done. I just decided, I was like, nah, I'm gonna get rid of all that. I'm just gonna keep the vocals. So in keeping the vocals, the big thing then you have to make sure is making sure that the beat that you have is going to be correct to the audio that is currently going. So in this instance, I'm just playing around here. It's going to be a lot of trial and error, honestly. But, oh my goodness, and I totally forgot. Let's go ahead, type in value. Almost forgot to do it. 106.049. Okay, stretch. No, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so we got that correct. And then I'm now going to change it to 110. It'll stretch everything. So now we are at a tempo of 110 beats per minute. Now, I actually found that instead of going straight for the keys, the bass, a lot of those other aspects, the best place to start is actually the drums. And I don't mean your crazy like build-ups and drum fills and things like along that. If anything, you don't even have to settle on the drum that you originally pick. The important parts of it is making sure that the vocals that are being sang are on beat. So that is a great way to make sure that you have that set up correctly. I did want to show you something real quick. So basically, you come in, you bring some drums. I've got some samples here that work. You can also just go ahead and use some of the basic 808s that come right out of the gate. Just 1, 2. That can be then your 4-beat count to get an idea and make sure everything's matched up. So the original song that I'm really curious about how I went through the editing, and all the just different aspects of making it sound like a remix song. More than happy to go through that with you in more depth. But for today, I wanted to just give you an idea of how easy it is to get started and then how cool of a product can come out of it. So going back to what we originally had, this is what Pink Pony Club sounds like. Nice intro.
Telling all the crazy visions of me in LA.
Checking out that version for sure. Really, really cool cover. And honestly, Plankton freaking belts, bro. Now, that being said, if you want to listen to the whole song, check out the link. I'll see you soon.